All right. Hey guys, what's going on? I think we're live. Happy Thursday, everybody. It's my favorite time of the week. It is time for another episode of Functional Health Evolution, our Facebook Live series. So, in case you're tuning in for the first time, which I hope is not the case because you've missed out on so much great nerdiness, life-changing science, you know what I mean? But thanks so much for being here. In case you are tuning in for the first time, my name is Bren Vermeyer. I'm the director of the Association of Functional Diagnostic Nutrition Practitioners. What a mouthful. Director of the AFDNP. I'm also a clinical advisor and course mentor for functional diagnostic nutrition. So super excited. I love putting on these shows every other Thursday, giving you guys little bits of amazing, life-changing education. So in case you missed my show from 2 weeks ago, we were talking all about low testosterone and more of a functional approach to low testosterone and considering some of those underlying factors that are causing the hormone impairment. So that was a great show. It was kind of a long one, but if you want to go back and watch it, just scroll down on the timeline. It's still there, getting a lot of views and everything, which is great. So tonight, we're going to be talking about environmental chemicals and environmental toxicity, which, I called it 2 weeks ago. I was like, well, might as well talk about it. It kind of is a segue, I guess, from the hormones. And okay, so let's talk about some of these different factors that might be messing up your hormones. And the big one would be environmental chemicals, environmental toxins, toxicity. Our world has never been more toxic. And, actually just a few weeks ago, I was talking to our friend Laura Adler, who's a big environmental toxin nerd. And of course, I say that in the most loving of ways. She's one of us, and we love our nerd science because when you know how to harness that knowledge, there's like nothing you can't do. That's why I love this stuff. I'm addicted to it because it's just like, oh yeah, it's almost like making yourself superhuman in a way of not just manage a disease, but actually truly reach your full potential as a person with your health, and then maybe even just become superhuman. You know what I mean? So, okay, environmental toxins. Let's talk about this a little bit. So here's the deal, guys. I already said it. The world has never been more toxic. And okay, you have some people that kind of bash the environmental toxicity craze, if you will, of like, oh, that's pseudoscience because, think about Paleolithic cavemen and a volcano goes off and that's what your liver is for and it detoxifies everything. It's like, well, I mean, how much toxicity though? How much was our liver? Well, not just how much toxin has our liver evolved to be able to handle, right? So here, bear with me for a second, because before we get into the nitty-gritty facts, we need to, use our critical thinking skills and a little bit of common sense. I love the science, but what I continuously find is the science just confirms like the common sense and kind of the gut intuition. And that's something you see over and over. We do all this research, and sometimes the research just tells us what was blatantly obvious if we just use a little common sense. But anyways, so think about it like this. Think about how much our world has changed in the past, even just 10 years, right? Think about that for a second. When I was a kid, cell phones were this big, and of course, I'm still a kid, so we can all laugh at that. But no, whereas now, I've got a computer as a phone. It's crazy. Think about the technology change. Now think about chemical manufacturing. Okay, think about 100 years ago, 1920s. Well, like 1920, right? Depression era. People still ate farm fresh food. Meat fresh from the butcher. They didn't have GMOs. They didn't have chemical preservatives and additives and emulsifiers. They didn't have the pesticides and herbicides, and they didn't have all this stuff back then. Chemical manufacturing science was not there yet, right? I don't think they had plastic back then. I don't know. I wasn't alive in the 1920s. I wasn't alive, 10 years ago. I'm just kidding. Anyways, but my point being, we hit a pivotal point where technology advanced a lot with everything. But, think about IBM and computers, but also think about, okay, 1960s, 70s, 80s. Think about how much food processing changed. Processed food is not that old. And all the chemicals we're using for everything from the cars to the, the paint on my wall here and everything. So let's fast forward a little bit. Fun facts. So the, what is it? Living Planet report from 2015 reported that there has been, what was it, 58% reduction of wildlife diversity for mammals, reptiles, birds, fish, there's this whole list. But really the punchline is, in 40 years from, what was it, 1970, 1980 to 2012, I didn't memorize it, but you can look it up, look up the Living Planet report. We basically killed off more than half of everything alive on the planet. Like, go look it up. Look at the statistic. Chronic disease is at an all-time high. Wildlife diversity is at an all-time low. Like, come on. It's really, like, if you open your eyes, it's no brainer, So there's like 86,000 different chemicals that are registered within the United States for chemical manufacturing and, making products and goods. Thousands upon thousands of chemicals that were created in a lab for whatever kind of, whether it's a food additive, a food coloring, a pesticide to spray on crops, whatever it is. There's thousands upon thousands of new chemicals that were created by chemists, right, that are not really naturally occurring. Maybe their derivatives are naturally occurring, but that substance has been tinkered with in a lab and then put on the market for manufacturing. These have not been studied for what they do to human health. Very, very few of them. Very few. Hey, Rain, it's one of my students. Hey, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Certainly throw questions up, say hi. I love interacting with the audience. Oh, gosh. So getting back to my point, though, thousands of chemicals that we're producing and using in manufacturing, very few, like a fraction, are actually being tested for what do these do for human health. But to make matters worse, the typical approach for toxicology is looking for, immediate acute reaction, like, organ failure. Your liver failed at this amount of this substance, but they're not thinking about long-term low dose exposure, which is the world we live in. Okay. Why have we killed off half of everything alive on this planet in the past 40 years? Well, think about how many thousands of chemicals we're dumping into the environment and producing and using widely. The difference is, an animal, they're out in nature. They don't have water filters. They don't have, it's up to their organs that have evolved over however many hundreds of thousands of years to handle what is a new chemical. It's one thing if, an animal's liver is evolving at the same time the chemicals in this plant, and it eats the plant and its liver is adapting and evolving to be able to, handle whatever is in that plant that might be semi-toxic. But all of a sudden, because of technology and chemistry, we're producing all these chemicals faster than our body has been able to evolve to them. Your liver can't evolve in 40 years to keep up with how quickly we're producing 80,000 some chemicals. And then when toxicologists are only looking for like immediate noticeable, like what's the toxic dose? How much of this does it take to cause liver failure? That's not going to be a good indicator of what are these things doing to our health over the course of our lifetime. So I think I've sold you guys on that. It's very valid science. It's just not talked about enough. All right. So environmental toxins, what do? They're poison to your body, but we don't fully understand some of them. Maybe some of them might have some kind of health benefit. We don't know fully, but we do see a lot of associations and research and evidence that would suggest the vast majority of these are poisoning us and interfering with endocrine function, interfering with metabolic function. For example, a lot of these different environmental chemicals and xenobiotics and xenoestrogens might negatively impact your PPAR receptors within the nuclear binding sites of your cell, right, within the nucleus. So the PPAR receptors really regulate fat release and fat loss. And then all of a sudden, these chemicals are interfering with that, and you can't lose as much fat. You're not burning as much fat. Or then a lot of these different chemicals have, hormone mimetic effects, or can bind to a certain receptor. It's all hormones, it's that lock and key effect, right? So you have to have the right key to fit into the right lock. Well, like the easiest example that I feel like everybody knows about these days is bisphenol A, right? BPA, very typical xenoestrogen. And it has a very similar molecular structure to estradiol. And so it can bind to estradiol receptors. And then some of, it might trigger a little bit of estrogenic activity, or then other chemicals might just block the receptor entirely. So then the hormone can't bind to it and activate a response. There's all these different effects going on top of the toxicology side of it, and just straight up toxic to your liver, toxic to your body. So in between hormone disrupting effects, fat loss effects, toxicity, and much more. I mean, it's virtually, these things are connected to virtually every disease you could think of. So, whether we're talking about like xylene or styrene or phthalates or parabens, or, there's all these different categories of chemicals. So it's like, okay, well, Brendan, how do I know if I'm toxic? If you live in modern society, unfortunately, you're toxic. And that's what is a little bit daunting, unfortunately. Whereas other things, we can identify and get rid of pretty quick. This is the world we live in today. So there's not really a way to beat it. It's a way of trying to do the best we can to support our detox systems, and reduce exposure is going to be the best thing you can do. If you're, in a rowboat that's filling up with water, you got to plug the hole before you bail out the water. Otherwise, you're just perpetually bailing out water. And I think everybody's heard the statistic of, newborns, you can measure over 200 different chemicals in their placenta. That's like a very popular fun fact, more like, really disturbing fact, right? So anyways, there are ways of assessing this. I mean, there are different environmental chemical lab tests that you can do. And, like Great Plains has a great one that I've used before. It's fun to do. But here's the thing is, even some of the most comprehensive, environmental chemical labs, there's way too many of these different chemicals to be able to test all of them. You just can't. They try to test for some of the most common in the major groups and stuff. But, like I said, over 80,000 different chemicals registered within the United States for, manufacturing purposes. You can't test all those, So I think the use of the testing can be somewhat, because it's like, well, either way, we know that they're there. We know we're bathing in these chemicals all the time. So what do we need to do about it? Which is support our detox pathways, which is a big subject in itself that we don't have time to go into. But I do want to, as we wrap things up, give the audience, whoever you guys are, I love you guys, some just very, very basic tips on moving in that direction. So, reducing exposure is key. You can't avoid exposure, but you can reduce. So, my apartment, I would take on tour if I could, but my apartment's a good example. I've got a super fancy shower filter on my shower over here. Well, it's not super fancy. It's pretty basic, but it works really well. It's Clearly Filtered is like the brand name. I have no affiliation. I wish. So that way when 10 people buy one tomorrow, but no, like Clearly Filtered shower filter I have on my shower, and then a Clearly Filtered water jug. And, I really avoid plastic as much as I can. I don't take the, receipt. A really good resource for you guys to download would be the Environmental Working Group Dirty Dozen Hormone Endocrine Disruptors. I have it downloaded. It's PDF. But seriously, go to environmentalworkinggroup.com. You should already know about the Dirty Dozen. If you don't, then get that too, the Dirty Dozen food list, of like, hey, if you're not going to get organic for everything. These are kind of the priorities because they're the dirtiest. But then make sure that you also download their they have a really cute PDF that's the top 12 endocrine disrupting chemicals and different tips on how to avoid it. So I mean, I don't have time to go into all the details. I want to wrap this up within the next few minutes, but that's a great starting point, but think about the water you're drinking, the air you're breathing. I have a bunch of plants in my apartment, and there are different types of plants that can soak up different toxins. And sorry, plants like this little guy right here. He's not just a good-looking plant. He also he takes the poison for me. I appreciate you, guy. But plants are a great way to increase. That's why, like, if you go in a forest, you're going to get a lot more fresh air. You've got all this vegetation that's breathing in all the fumes and potentially storing them. So the plants kind of take the bullet for us. There's also different fancy air purifiers that you can. I'm saving up for one right now. I mean, I could just buy it, I guess, but it's like $600 or something. But whatever. Anyways, it's worth it. But stop. Okay. Because I am a bro myself, and I have a lot of bro friends, aka like gym rat friends and trainer friends and stuff. Stop eating out of plastic. Thanks, Rain. One of my favorite students just you guys can't see it. For me, it was on my screen, but she just posted the link to the environmental working group. So follow Rain's link there and go download that. I give it to all my clients, or I at least give them links so they can download it. That's a great resource. Okay, where was I? Oh yeah, stop being out plastic, trainer friends. It's such a meathead move, you got, you put all this time into doing food prep and meal prep, and then you pack it in your plastic container and then microwave it. So then you're just heating up and activating all that nasty plastic, and it's leaching into your food. Stop it. Stop doing that. It's no bueno. Use glass. It's heavier to carry around in your lunchbox, but you know what? You're strong. That's the point of working out, right? So you can carry heavy stuff. Okay, couple detox strategies, and we'll wrap up real quick. So avoidance is number one. Avoidance is everything. And then there's a lot of different liver sport strategies. I don't really recommend you just do whatever liver sport you read about. Like, you should probably be working with a functional practitioner to kind of get specific guidance on that. But guys, some basic things: sauna therapy. You do sweat out a lot of time. Like, that's not just like a pseudoscience, wives' tale. You literally, they have measured tons of different chemicals and heavy metals in your sweat. I don't think mercury comes out in your sweat, but I do know that other heavy metals can come out in your sweat. But anyways, but a lot of the chemicals though will sweat, which certainly that's why you should be exercising, get a healthy sweat. But sauna therapy can be extremely beneficial. I really recommend sauna use on a weekly basis for everybody, just as part of a healthy lifestyle. Go sit 20, 30, 40 minutes, get a good sweat going, make sure to hydrate. I like to bring my clean canteen. I wish they endorsed me, because mad props. But my canteen, not plastic, metal. And I'll sip on some cold water with electrolytes and some glycine powder. Glycine is amino acid that it really is, first off, is a conjugate for glutathione, which is your master's body antioxidant. That what doesn't glutathione do, right, my star crew? But then glycine is a major detox nutrient. So that's just something very basic: glycine powder, electrolytes, water. Go sweat it out for a while. Or I love some hot yoga. And if you can get infrared sauna or infrared heated hot yoga, even better, because infrared electromagnetic radiation, aka light, has a lot of healing benefits itself as well. We should talk about light sometime on an upcoming show. But anyways, that's about it for now. We're kind of right at 20 minutes. These are supposed to be about 15 minutes. That's impossible. So anyways, environmental toxins 101, but ultimately, aside from avoidance, some of those very basic strategies that we were just barely getting into: eating organic, But follow that link over there, download that guide with the Dirty Dozen, focus on avoidance, focus on, all the aspects of healthy lifestyle. And if you don't know what that is, find an FDN practitioner. We are the best at what we do. We are leading this industry in revolutionizing this world. So find one of us and we will help you. But yeah, so helpful strategies there. Again, Bern Vermeyer with Functional Diagnostic Nutrition. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Maybe I'll see if I can find a guest. Hey, Rain, you want to be a guest? I don't know. We'll find out. I'll ask. Maybe bring a student on. But anyways, thank you guys. Much love. Namaste. See you next time.